Maybe if you were more like your sister. Mom sighed, her eyes bright while bragging about Paige's new job. But at exactly 9:59 tonight, a single notification will tip this entire room sideways. What they called a childish hobby with computers is the empire they've been blind to for 6 years. And I will stand up and say 3 words. Yes. It's real. My name is Chloe Mitchell. I am 29 years old, and I am seated at table 11. The restaurant is called Loroni, which is a lie. There are no orange trees, just towering sterile glass vases filled with white leis that pump an oppressive furial scent into the air. We are in Newport Coast, California. The carpets are a deep, absorbent beige, designed to swallow the sound of any real emotion, leaving only the polite, brittle clinking of silver on porcelain. This is a celebration of my sister, Paige. This is her new job party. Table 11 is not a place of honor. It is a small 12-person circle of linen pushed against a partition that partially hides the swinging stainless steel door to the kitchen. Every 30 seconds, I feel the rush of hot dishwater-scented air as a server bursts through. I am positioned in the draft. My chair is the one people have to squeeze past. I chose this seat. I also chose the dress simple black, unadorned, a void in the peripheral vision of the room. I am practicing the art of strategic invisibility. Carter and Wilde LLP. My mother says, her voice pitching up with a pride so sharp it could cut glass. She is standing at the head of the main table. Table 1, holding a champagne flute. She isn't giving a formal speech, just a rolling, continuous announcement to anyone who comes within 5 feet. They took her on as a first-year associate. Can you believe it? $85,000 to start? $85,000. She says the number like it's a benediction. Like it's all the money in the world. The room murmurs its approval. 85,000 is a good number. A respectable number. It is solid. Tangible. You can build a life on that. Or at least the kind of life my parents understand. The guests are a curated exhibit of my parents' aspirations. A retired Superior Court judge, Judge Arthur Pembroke, is here. His face a roadmap of expensive cigars and minor irritations. He's talking to 2 senior partners from Paige's new firm. Men whose tailored suits cost more than my first car. Their wives are nearby. A small flock of shimmering, surgically maintained women, discussing golf handicaps in hushed, serious tones. Paige's law school friends are here, clustered by the bar. All sharp angles and loud competitive laughter. They are already sizing each other up for future partnerships. And the family, the important relatives. Uncle David, who runs a regional bank. Aunt Karen, whose marriage to a cardiologist is her primary resume builder. They all swarm Paige. She is incandescent in a white dress that cost a fortune. Her smile practiced, perfect and bright. The praise washes over her in waves. That's a real career. Paige, you've set the bar. Darling, such a prestigious firm. Your father must be so proud. Stability. That's what matters. You've got it. A real career. That's the phrase of the night. The refrain. A real career. As opposed to me. My father catches my eye from across the room. He is standing near Judge Pembroke. a glass of scotch in his hand. His gaze doesn't linger. It's not a glance of warmth or inclusion. It's a quick, sharp assessment. Like a building inspector, checking for code violations. He takes in the black dress, the seat by the kitchen, the lack of a +1. He is not looking at his daughter. He is cataloging a liability. He is checking a box. Chloe. Still Chloe. His attention snaps back to the judge. A strained, apologetic smile forming on his lips as if to say, "Yes, I know. But what can you do?" My phone vibrates in my lap. A silent, insistent buzz against my leg. The screen is dark, but the notification preview is visible only to me. It's a secure message from my head of PR. Team is go. Press release. Wire. And partner.coms are staged. Need final confirmation for 10 p.m. Pacific drop. All stakeholders are standing by. This is it. The culmination of 18 months of negotiations of coding sprints of absolute soul-crushing work. The Series E. The number that will change everything. The number that makes $85,000 look like a rounding error. My thumb hovers over the screen. I can hear the kitchen door swing open again. The clash of plates. The muttered curse of a busboy. I can smell the lilies. I can see Paige laughing as she accepts another glass of champagne. I type 2 letters and a symbol. Okay. 10 p.m. Pacific. I hit send. The countdown starts. 1 hour and 14 minutes. The service door swings open with more force this time. A young waiter loaded with a heavy tray of appetizers doesn't see me. The edge of the door slams hard into my shoulder, jolting my entire body and knocking my phone from my hand. It clatters onto the carpet. Oh my God. He gasps, his face pale. The tray wobbling. It's okay. I say instantly, automatically. I'm already bending to get the phone. My fault. I was in your way. He stares at me, confused by my apology. I'm so sorry. Ma'am. Don't worry about it. I murmur, sitting back up, rubbing the ache in my shoulder. I give him a small, reassuring smile. He nods, grateful and confused, and disappears into the dining room. I am used to this. I apologize for the space I occupy. It is my primary social function in this family. Chloe. My mother's voice, sharp and commanding. She has materialized at my table, her smile pinned in place, but her eyes are tight. I saw that. You really should move if you're going to be in their way. I'm fine. Mom. Good. She doesn't ask. It's a statement. Listen. Honey, can you do me a favor? Your phone has a good camera. Right? Can you get up and take some nice pictures of your sister? The lighting over here is terrible. And I want to capture her moment. Nice pictures of her moment. The words hang in the air between us. My phone. The one that just confirmed a multi-billion-dollar funding round. Yes. It has a good camera. Sure. Mom. I nod. She beams. A quick transactional smile. And taps my uninjured shoulder. Thank you, dear. You're a sweetheart. She glides back to table 1. Her mission complete. I stand up, my shoulder throbbing. I slide my phone from my lap, my thumb brushing the secure messaging app. I navigate to the camera instead. I look at Paige, surrounded by admirers, bathed in the warm golden light of the main dining room. Then I look at myself, reflected in the dark glass of the kitchen door, the black dress, the shadows. The word nice echoes in my head. Nice always meant Paige. Pretty meant Paige. Smart in the right way meant Paige. I am just the girl who is good with computers. I walk past Judge Pembroke's table. He is telling a story. My father is laughing. A loud, forced sound. Aunt Karen sees me approaching. "Oh, Chloe," she says, her voice full of pity. "It's so good to see you. Are you still doing that computer thing, helping people with their printers?" I stop. I look at her. Her diamonds. Her perfectly coiffed hair. I think about the server architecture I designed. I think about the 478 employees on my payroll. I think about the 50 million daily active users in our ecosystem. I smile. It's a small, tight smile. The kind you give when you're apologizing for being in the way. "Something like that, Aunt Karen," I say. I fix printers. I lift the phone and focus the lens on my sister. 1 hour and 12 minutes. I tap the screen. The autofocus dutifully finds Paige's face. Sharp and bright, blurring the rest of the room. I take the picture. The flash is a small, polite pop of light. My mother, watching from table 1, nods in approval. Click. Another photo. Paige, laughing with a partner. Click. Paige, accepting a toast. That flash. It reminds me of the overhead projectors in Mrs. Evans's 4th grade class. My parent-teacher conference. "Chloe has such potential," she'd said. Her voice laced with the weary optimism of a career educator. If only she would apply herself. Apply herself. It was the sanitized educational term for, why isn't she more like Paige? Paige was a monolith of applied potential. She was the checklist of acceptable achievement. Debate team captain. First chair violin. A performance choice, she approached, with the joyless precision of a surgeon. Law school was not a dream. It was an itinerary handed to her by our parents the moment she won her first spelling bee. She was every ribbon, every A+, every honor roll certificate. She was the walking, talking embodiment of everything my parents could brag about at dinner parties like this one. I was the counter-argument. I was the child who hid in her room. Not with books, but with a second-hand tower PC I'd bought with saved-up lawn mowing money. I wrote my first game in 8th grade. It was a text-based adventure, built in a language that was already outdated about navigating a haunted library. The code was a mess of nested if statements and bad logic. But it worked. It took me 6 weeks. My fingers were raw. I was electric with the thrill of creating a world from nothing. From just text and commands. I showed my father. I dragged him into my room. my heart hammering with a desperate need for him to see. He stared at the black screen and the blinking green cursor. I typed, "Look at desk." The screen responded. "You see a tarnished key and a leather-bound book." My father frowned. "What is this?" "It's a game." "Dad." "You explore. You find things." He watched me type one more command. Then he straightened up, adjusting his tie. He put his hand on my shoulder. "Chloe," he said, his voice heavy with a kind of gentle disappointment that was worse than anger. "Does this help you with your SAT score?" The question sucked the air from my lungs. I closed the program. When it came time for college applications, I wrote computer science and interaction design in the major field. My mother was reviewing the application. "What's this?" "Honey?" she asked, pointing at the words, "Interaction design." "Is that like fixing laptops?" Her tone was genuinely puzzled to her. Computers were a blue screen of death. A broken printer. A lost password. They were a problem to be fixed. They were not a career. They were not real. That phrase, "a real job," it started to follow me. It was in the air every time I came home. It was the subtext of every question about my future. "When are you going to get a real job?" Paige got one. She got the internships. She got the summer associate positions. She was on the real job track. I was 21 when I met Leo and Sophia. I was 21 when I realized I would never find a real job that would satisfy my family. So, I had to build one from scratch. We were the outcasts from the senior capstone project. Leo, a quiet genius who saw server architecture as poetry. Sophia, who lived on data and caffeine, able to predict user churn just by looking at the color of a submit button. And me. I was the one who could translate their abstract brilliance into lines of code that actually compiled. We called ourselves Mythic Loop Studios. Our first office was a 3-bedroom apartment in Costa Mesa, chosen for its cheap rent and proximity to a 24-hour donut shop. The carpet was a shade of brown that smelled like old cigarettes and regret. We lived there. We coded there. We slept on a single stained futon, taking shifts. The glow of our monitors. A constant, artificial daylight. We lived on instant ramen and the stale day-old donuts we got for free. And we pitched. We pitched 47 times. I remember every no. 47 meetings on Sand Hill Road in glass-walled conference rooms that felt colder than our apartment. 47 men in identical navy blue sweaters who would listen patiently, smile, and say, "It's an interesting concept, but the market's just not there." Which was code for, "We don't invest in 2 one-year-olds building something we don't understand after rejection." Number 47, we were broke. The bank account was empty. Our server hosting bill was due in 10 days. We were done. I looked at Leo, who had lost 12. I looked at Sophia, who was biting her nails so aggressively her fingers were bleeding. I walked outside, holding the only thing of value I had. The keys to my car. A 2006 Honda Civic. It was my high school graduation present. It was faded and the air conditioning was broken. But it was mine. I drove it to a Cash for Cars lot on Harbor Boulevard. The man behind the glass offered me $2,300. I didn't haggle. I took the cash and I ran the 2 miles back to the apartment. I threw the crumpled bills on the kitchen table. This buys us 10 more weeks. I panted. We didn't celebrate. We just coded. Those 10 weeks bought us Pixel Forge. It was our first major project. A collaborative art tool. We launched it and it failed. It failed spectacularly. It was a ghost town. The server sat empty. The 10 weeks ran out. The money was gone. We were sitting in the dark. The power shut off. The futon repossessed. It was over. That night, my cell phone rang. It was my father. My phone was the only thing I'd kept current. The one bill I'd paid? Chloe. Your mother tells me you're not answering her calls. I've been busy. Dad. My voice was hollow. Listen, he said. And I heard him take a deep breath. He was preparing his reasonable voice. I just had a wonderful call with Paige. She's been made a junior associate at her summer firm, contingent on passing the bar. Of course. She's going to be at a real firm. A real career. He let the words hang. The comparison was a physical weight. She's on a path. Chloe. She's going to be stable. This computer game you're playing. It was a good effort. But don't you think it's time to come home? When are you going to finally get stable? Stable? The word felt like a prison. I looked around the dark apartment. I looked at the blank monitor. I looked at Leo, who was staring at the wall. I have to go. Dad. Chloe. Don't you hang up on me? We need to discuss your options. I hung up. I closed the phone, a flip phone, and threw it against the wall. It shattered. A long silence. So that's it, Leo said softly. To the room. We're done. I stood up. A hard clarity was settling in my chest. It wasn't inspiration. It was rage. No, I said. Leo looked at me. Vya. We have nothing. We're not done. I said, my voice shaking. We've been building the wrong thing. We've been building a game. It was a game. Sophia whispered from the floor. Exactly. I went to my laptop, the one with 30 minutes of battery left. I opened a new file, a blank IDE. We're done building games. We're building a world, a platform. We're starting over right now. In the restaurant, a waiter refills my water glass. I haven't touched it. I check my phone. 1 hour. I am back at table 11, but my mind is still in that dark apartment, staring at a blank screen, ready to build a new world. We did not build Arcadia Odyssey in 6 months. We channeled it. Those 6 months were a hypoxic tunnel. We left the dark apartment and found one that was marginally less dark. But it didn't matter. We never saw the daylight. The project was our air, our food, our only function. It was no longer a game. It was a platform, a sandbox world with a physics engine that was frankly terrifying. Leo was building the server architecture modular. He used that word a lot. It has to be modular, Chloe, or we'll never scale. He was obsessed with containerization and asynchronous event handling. I was the one writing the core. I was building the tools that would let the users, not us, build the world. Sleep was a 2-hour cycle. Not a rest. Just a mandatory system reboot. My hands lived in a state of perpetual fine-grained tremor. It wasn't nerves. It was caffeine. Industrial-sized bags of cheap coffee beans brewed into a thick, toxic sludge. We drank it by the pot. My diet was caffeine, sugar from stale donuts, and a cold, burning layer of anxiety. Sophia was our sentinel. She was the one who interfaced with the real world, and she hated it. She watched the cloud services bill like it was a ticking bomb. Every CPU cycle, every terabyte of data aggressed money we did not have. We were running on the fumes of a tiny angel investment, and the fumes were running out. We have 36 hours of compute left at this burn rate, she would announce, her voice flat. So we optimized. We found a way to cut the data calls in half. We made 36 hours of compute last for 72. We finished the closed beta. We sent keys to 500 people, mostly from old forum lists. The system exploded at 4:12 inches the morning. A glorious, catastrophic cascade failure. The database instance corrupted. The physics engine tore itself apart. The entire world we had built was reduced to digital rubble. Leo and I stared at the error log. It scrolled past. A waterfall of red text. He looked at me. His eyes bloodshot. A slow grin spreading across his exhausted face. "It's working," he whispered. I knew what he meant. We looked at the user logs. They hadn't just been building houses. They had reverse-engineered our physics tools. They were building trebuchets. They were staging elaborate, complex, server-breaking wars. They were pushing the system to its absolute limit. The concept was viable. They just needed a world that could withstand them. Launch day. We had no money for marketing. We had no PR. We just posted a single message on a handful of forums. Arcadia Odyssey. The doors are open. Come build. We sat in the dark watching the user counter. 5,000 users in the first hour. The servers hummed. We breathed. 50,000 by noon. The fans on the server racks kicked into high gear. I felt a tightening in my chest. 600,000 by dinner. It wasn't a hum. It was a scream. The alarms on our dashboard lit up. Red. Red everywhere. I/O. Leo yelled. The database. It's an I/O bottleneck. It can't write fast enough. Every time a user picked up a rock, moved a block, or dug a hole, the system was trying to write that event to the master database. The entire world was grinding to a halt. Users were frozen in place. The chat logs were filling with rage. "We have to take it down," Sophia said, her voice shaking. "Reboot the cluster." No. My voice was sharp. We go down now. We die. We lose them forever. What's the alternative? Chloe? Leo was frantic. It's choking. We're 30 seconds from a total system crash. You optimize the pipeline, I said, my fingers already moving. Pulling a terminal window. I'll fix the code. You can't hotfix the live database. Watch me. The tremor in my hands was gone. The caffeine. The exhaustion. It all evaporated. There was only the code. I saw the problem. A single function. A stupid, lazy piece of code I had written 3 months ago. A global write lock for object interaction. It was efficient for 1,000 users. It was suicide for 600,000. Leo was yelling. Rerouting traffic. Trying to load balance a flood he couldn't control. Sophia was spinning up new instances, just trying to buy us seconds. I found the function. I rewrote the lock. I made the event asynchronous. I bypassed the master table for non-critical environmental data. I didn't compile. I didn't test. I just wrote. I committed the hotfix. I pushed it live to the production environment. For 3 seconds, the entire system froze. The user counter dipped. Then it held. The latency graph on my second monitor, the one that had been a solid wall of red, flickered. It turned green. The bottleneck was gone. The system was breathing. The user counter started to climb again. We did not sleep for a week. We lived by the dashboard. We just watched the numbers. At the end of week 1, Arcadia Odyssey had 4.2 million daily active users. 4.2 million. The number was abstract. It didn't feel real. The exhaustion was too deep. Then the phone started ringing. The men from Sand Hill Road. The 47 rejections. The men in the navy blue sweaters who had looked at me with polite condescension. Chloe. What a remarkable surprise. Chloe. We were just talking about your team. We always knew you had the vision. Chloe. We'd love to lead your Series A. Are you free for coffee tomorrow? I gave the phone to Sophia. Tell them my schedule is booked, I said. For when indefinitely we moved out of the apartment. The lease was up, and the landlord was threatening to sue over the server rack we'd bolted to the living room floor. We signed a lease on a 20,000 square foot office in an Irvine corporate park. It was a concrete floor. It had no exterior windows. It was a sea of glass partitions and fluorescent lights. It smelled like new carpet and server room air conditioning. It was home. We hired our 10th employee. We hired our 100th. We had to build an HR department. We had to get a finance team. I was signing paperwork for benefits. For health insurance. For 401k plans. These were real-world problems. We signed the European distribution deal. We had to open an office in Dublin to comply with data privacy laws. I flew to Dublin. I signed a lease on a floor of an office building. I was 25 years old and I was responsible for an international corporation. The magazine cover happened. A major tech journal. Not a gaming magazine. A business and technology publication. They put me on the cover. They called me the silent architect of the new web. The photo was terrible. I looked pale. Exhausted. And my hair was pulled back in a way that made me look severe. I bought a copy at an airport newsstand. I read the article on the plane. They got most of the technical details wrong. They obsessed over the fact I was a woman. I didn't send a copy home. My father subscribed to that magazine. I knew he'd see it. He never mentioned it. Then came the real funding rounds. Series A, B, C, D. Lawyers arrived. Bankers arrived. Men in more expensive suits than my father owned. They came with spreadsheets. They came with terms. They wanted control. They wanted board seats. They wanted liquidation preferences and protective provisions. I listened. I learned the language. I learned to say no. I remembered the $2,300 for my Honda. I remembered the 47 no's. The cap table became a complex, terrifying document. A spider web of preferred stock, common stock, and option pools. But when the ink was dry on the Series D, one fact remained. Etched in stone. Chloe Mitchell, founder and CEO. 51% majority control. It was mine at Mythic Loop. My name is a decision. When I walk onto the engineering floor, the collective rhythm of keystrokes changes. It doesn't stop, but it tightens. I have 278 full-time employees, and they call me Chloe. But it is not the Chloe who sits at table 11. That Chloe, the boss, as they call her when I'm not in the room, is a different entity. She is the one who chairs the executive strategy meeting. She is the one who listened to a 2-hour presentation on user acquisition funnels and then killed a $5 million marketing campaign with a single sentence. You are marketing the tool, not the feeling. Start over. She is the one who reviews quarterly reports and sees the code patterns beneath the numbers. The one who can argue network topology with Leo and data ethics with Sophia. That Chloe's voice is calm, low, and final. Her words move capital. Her decisions create jobs. Her approval is the last checkpoint here in this restaurant. I am not a checkpoint. I am a footnote. I am the kid who likes computers. I am Chloe. You know, the one who's trying that internet thing. I am Paige's sister. The disconnect is a physical sensation, like altitude sickness. I live in 2 parallel worlds, and the commute between them is brutal. In my world, I am an architect. In theirs, I am a hobbyist who is still trying to figure things out. My mother's favorite phrase, delivered with a sympathetic sigh to her friends. Oh, Chloe is brilliant, but she's just finding her way. I found my way. They just never bothered to look at the map. The phone call from my father this morning was a perfect example of this cognitive dissonance. He doesn't call me. He calls Chloe. The potential financial resource. Chloe, he'd said. His voice wrapped in that false, hearty tone he uses when he's about to ask for something. Good. You're up. Your mother and I are just looking over the preparations for tonight. I know. Dad. I'll be there. Yes. Well, we were looking at Paige's gift registry. People have been so generous. So generous. I waited. The silence was a container he wanted me to fill. That's great. Dad. But he continued. It seems the big item. It's still there. Everything else is gone. But the big one is still sitting there. It's a bit of an oversight. A bit awkward. The big item was a professional-grade block of German knives and a 20-piece set of stainless steel cookware. The kind of things a real adult with a real job would need for her real life. The subtext was clear. I had failed to participate in the appropriate ritual. The Henkel set and the all-clad, I said. My voice flat. He was momentarily silent. I'm surprised I knew the specifics. Yes. That's it. It's quite a lot of money. Chloe. We certainly don't expect, with your situation. With my situation. I've got it. Dad. I cut him off. What? Oh. Chloe? That's wonderful. But are you sure you can? It's handled. I'll see you at 7. I hung up. I was sitting in my office in the dark, watching the sun rise over the city. I opened the registry app on my phone. I tapped the items. I hit purchase. My phone's wallet was already open. The entire transaction, from him asking to the "thank you for your order" screen, took less than 90 seconds. The cost was a rounding error. It was less than what I spend on coffee for the office in a single week. But to him, it was the big one. They have no idea. They think I am still the girl who sold her Honda. They have no idea where I live. I live in a penthouse on the 42nd floor of the tallest residential building in downtown Los Angeles. It is a 3-bedroom expanse of glass, concrete, and silence. My view is a 180 degrees panorama of the entire LA basin. I can see the planes lining up for LAX, the shimmer of the ocean at sunset, and the endless glittering grid of the city. I have, in my own way, conquered. My parents have never seen it. Oh, downtown, my mother said. The one time I invited them. The traffic is it's a nightmare. Honey. And the parking. We just can't. Maybe you can come to us for dinner on Sunday. They never asked again. I keep my life quiet. It's a strategic decision. I don't drive a supercar. I drive a dark gray, high-performance SUV that looks to the untrained eye like any other family vehicle. I don't wear logo-branded clothing. I don't wear heavy jewelry. My watch is a simple, elegant piece. But it's not encrusted with diamonds. My power is not for display. It is for use. It is in the fact that I own 51% of my company. It is in the fact that my signature can move markets. Here. My signature is not required. I am not even on the guest list. Metaphorically, this brings me back to the phone in my lap. Back to the Series E. Yesterday's call with my PR team was strained. Chloe, I need you to understand what this is. Anna, my head of communications, had said. Her voice was tiny over the conference line. This is not the Series D. This is not a tech story. This is a business story. A $9.1 billion valuation. Chloe, you are about to become a public figure. The media storm will be instantaneous. Forbes, Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal. They are all under embargo. The second that wire hits. It is going to be a frenzy. I understand. I'd said, but I have a scheduling conflict. A long, heavy silence. A scheduling conflict, Anna repeated. Her voice, deadpan. It's a family event. A party for my sister tonight. Can we push the announcement? Hold it until tomorrow morning. Chloe, she said, and I could hear her rubbing the bridge of her nose. This isn't just us. This is a global consortium of investors. The lead VC in Tokyo wants this to hit the wires before their market opens. The only slot all parties agreed to. The only time the wire transfer will clear and the press release can drop simultaneously is 10 Pama Pacific tonight. If we push, the entire deal could get shaky. The investors will get nervous. Nervous investors pull out. 10 p.m. Pacific. I looked at the invitations sitting on my desk. A celebration for Paige Mitchell. 700 p.m. I had a choice. I could leave. I could fake an illness. A migraine. I could slip out at 9:30, go sit in my car in the parking lot and watch my life change on my phone screen alone. It would be the quiet, polite thing to do. It would be the Chloe at table 11 thing to do. But then I thought about the kitchen door. I thought about fixing printers. I thought about every holiday. Every dinner. Every time I was introduced as the other one. I thought about all the years I had made myself smaller, quieter, and less visible, just to avoid making them uncomfortable with my computer thing. I thought about my father's check-cashing glance. I picked up my phone. I sent a text to Anna. Don't push. Stay the course. Release it on time. I put the phone back in my lap. So, here I am. I will be good. I will be quiet. This is Paige's night. She followed their rules. She won their prize. I will sit here, and I will be the shadow. I will be the void in the black dress. I will sit perfectly still. But I am lying to myself. The truth is not a polite guest. It does not VP. It does not wait patiently by the kitchen. The truth is a sledgehammer, and the truth is coming. I checked the time. 56 minutes. The main course has been cleared, replaced by a procession of intricate, minimalist desserts. Each plate is a vast expanse of white porcelain containing a single artful smear of mousse, a scattering of micro-herbs, and a quintal of ice cream that is already beginning to weep under the lights. It is food designed to be photographed, not eaten. The string trio, which I now see as a quartet missing its second violin, has bravely launched into a thin skeletal arrangement of a song that was popular 3 years ago. The melody is just recognizable enough to be annoying. A pale imitation of the real thing. It is the perfect soundtrack for the room. I am still at table 11, a fixed point in the social currents. The kitchen door is my constant companion. Its rhythmic swinging, a counterpoint to the polite beige conversation. Then my mother stands. The sound of her teaspoon tapping against her champagne flute is a high C. A piercing, insistent demand for attention. The room, trained for these moments, hushes. The main tables fall silent. My table, of course, was already silent, save for the rush of hot air from the kitchen. "If I could have everyone's attention," she says, her voice bright, practiced, resonating with the pride of a curator unveiling a masterpiece. "A toast to my daughter, Paige." Paige stands, her white dress immaculate. She is a pillar of correct choices. She smiles, accepts the brief, warm applause, and picks up her own glass. She is luminous. She is the center of this universe. "Thank you, Mom," Paige says, her voice smooth. "Thank you, Dad. And thank you all." Her gaze sweeps the important tables. "For being here to celebrate with me this moment. It's what it's all about. It's about finding the right path. It's about the work." She pauses. It is a calculated, dramatic beat. And in that beat, her eyes find me. A quick, almost imperceptible flick of her gaze over to the Badlands to table 11. It is not an invitation. It is a demarcation. "It wasn't always the easy path," she continues, her voice now imbued with a noble, righteous quality. "There are always distractions. But I knew if I stayed focused, if I followed the path my parents laid out, it would lead to a real stable future." She raises her glass. A small, triumphant lift of her chin. "Because unlike some people who choose to play games, I chose a real career." The words land. They are not an accident. They are a payload delivered with precision. A small, appreciative titter of laughter comes from her law school friends. Polite, affirming chuckles ripple from table 1. Judge Pembroke nods. A benevolent, approving gesture. My father smiles. A tight, proud expression. That's my girl. The one who gets it. In the corner, the string trio, perhaps startled by the sudden laughter, hits a wall of sound. The violin, the viola, and the cello, all at once, slide into a note that is so spectacularly, hideously wrong. It is a physical offense. A sour, acidic, scraping sound that cuts through the warm air like a scalpel. The musicians SE in unison, their faces a mask of professional horror. They correct, but the chord has already died. The perfect beige illusion has been torn. No one else seems to have noticed. They are all smiling at Paige. I do not look up. I am staring into my water glass. It is a thick, heavy crystal, and it has begun to sweat. I am watching a single bead of condensation trace a path down the side. I am counting the rhythmic, low-frequency hum of the air conditioning unit. Hum, click, hum. It is the only metronome that matters. The room resumes its low-level chatter. The tinkle of spoons against porcelain. The murmur of congratulations. Paige is accepting handshakes. I am invisible. I am a void in a black dress. I am a sensory deprivation tank at a feast. My phone vibrates in my lap. Once a long, sustained haptic pulse. I don't need to look. I designed that notification. It is not a text. It is a system-level alert from my executive team. I slide my right hand under the table, my thumb finding the smooth, cold glass of the screen. I do not lift the phone. I am not a rude guest. I just angle it in my lap. The screen's glow, illuminating nothing but the underside of the table and the linen on my knees. The message is on a secure channel from Anna, my head of comms. It is 2 words. Press page warmed. The servers are staged. The press releases, translated into 12 languages, are queued. The wire transfer from the consortium of investors has been confirmed. The digital tumblers are falling into place. I look at the time on the screen. 9:58 Pacific Time. 2 minutes. Hum. Click. I can feel my own pulse. It is not fast. It is not frantic. It is a low, steady, powerful beat. It is the idle of an engine with a great deal of torque. 1 minute. My mother is now at Judge Pembroke's table, laughing, her hand on his arm. My father is talking to one of the senior partners. A look of deep, profound satisfaction on his face. Paige is holding court. Her law school friends gathered around her. All of them bright and loud, and on the path. The air in the room feels thin. It feels like the static charged moment before a lightning strike. When the pressure drops and the ozone fills your nose. Hum. Click. 30 seconds. I place my hand back on the table. My left hand, palm down. I study my own fingers, resting on the white linen. They are not shaking. The nails are short, unpolished. They are the hands of a person who types. I am just a girl at a party. At table 11, 10 seconds. I take a slow, quiet breath. The air is thick with the smell of lias and warm chocolate. I breathe out. Click. 10 p.m. The world does not change with a sound. It changes with light. At exactly 10, the restaurant's carefully curated. Dim, amber ambiance is violated. It starts as a single point of blue light. A phone. Then another. And another. It is a cascade of notifications. A digital plague. In the low, intimate light of the dining room, the sudden appearance of dozens of phone screens, all glowing with that same harsh artificial light, is an invasion. The conversations do not stop at once. They gutter. They fail. What? Oh. For my God. What now? Is that a market alert? The first person I watch is a man I don't know. One of Paige's cohort. He's staring at his phone. A fork full of chocolate torte, halfway to his open mouth. No. He whispers, his voice audible in the sudden lull. No way. Then I see a woman at a nearby table. She has her hand over her mouth. I watch Uncle David, the banker. He pulls out his phone with an annoyed sigh, ready to silence it. He looks at the screen. The sigh hitches in his throat. His eyes, small and shrewd, widen. He looks up, his head swiveling, not in confusion, but as if he's scanning the room for a threat or an opportunity. Then I watch the man from Table 1, the senior partner from Carter Wild. The man whose suit costs $85,000. He has not looked at his phone all night. He is a man of discipline, but his pocket is buzzing. A low, insistent, angry vibration against his hip. He frowns. He excuses himself from my mother's story and pulls the device from his pocket. He stares at the screen. He has a small piece of raspberry on his lower lip. He reads. His eyes move left, then right. He scrolls down. He stops. He scrolls back up as if disbelieving the headline. And then he does the one thing that changes the entire physics of the room. He lifts his head, his eyes wide and suddenly very sober. Look past my father. They look past Paige. They look past the judge. His gaze crosses the 20 yards of beige carpet and it lands with the force of a spotlight on me. At table 11, he stares. His mouth is slightly open. He does not know me. He has never been introduced. But his phone, his Bloomberg terminal, has just told him exactly who I am. The whispers begin. It starts at his table. His wife leans over. Martin. What is it? Is it the children? He doesn't answer her. He just shows her the screen. Her hand flies to her chest. Oh my God. Is that her? And the whispers become a wave. I can hear the fragments. The digital shrapnel. Mythic Loop. Arcadia Odyssey. That game my son plays. 9. My God. It says 9.1 billion. Billion with a B. The CEO. A. Chloe Mitchell. 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 Like Paige Mitchell. The sister. The one in the black dress. The one by the kitchen. Oh my God. I watch my father. He is the last bastion of blissful ignorance. He is annoyed by the buzzing. He is trying to recapture the attention of the judge. Judge Pembroke leans over. His own phone is in his hand. He taps my father on the shoulder. A heavy judicial tap. Richard. The judge says. His voice a low, serious rumble. You might want to look at this. My father's smile is indulgent. If, a little strained. What is it? Arthur? Another one of your stock alerts. We're trying to celebrate here. No. Richard. The judge says. And his voice is flat. All amusement gone. It's your daughter. My father is confused. He looks at Paige. Paige. What about her? Not that one. The judge says. And he turns his phone, so my father can read the screen. I watch my father's face. It is a slow-motion education in terror. He leans in. He squints. He doesn't have his reading glasses. He reads. The blood does not drain from his face. It flees. He turns a pale, waxy, ashen gray. The smile doesn't fade. It shatters, leaving a slack-jawed mask. His shoulders so proud, moments before collapse inward. He looks at the phone. He looks at the judge. He looks at the phone again. That's not possible. He stammers. His voice, a dry rasp. This is a joke. It's on Bloomberg. Richard. The judge says, his voice devoid of sympathy. It's on the Journal. It's on the wire. It is not a joke. My mother sees his face. Her highly tuned social radar is screaming. Richard. Richard. What is it? You look ill. Is it your heart? He doesn't answer. He is still staring at the screen. A dead man's gaze. My mother's smile wavers, then hardens. She turns. Annoyance flashing. What is going on? Why is everyone on their phones? This is so incredibly rude. She fumbles for her purse on the floor. Her large, expensive beige bag. Where is my I need to? Her hand shaking with irritation. Plunges into the bag. She pulls out her phone. A large model in a bright pink case. She taps the screen. It is dark. She taps it again. The lock screen is a solid wall of notifications. Forbes. Bloomberg. The New York Times. Her eyes, which had been bright with social triumph, go supernova. I see the exact moment the number hits her brain. Her pupils dilate. A look of ecstatic, uncomprehending joy. My daughter, a billionaire. Then just as quickly, it dies. The light is extinguished. It is replaced by a cold, hollow animal terror. She is not looking at a number. She is not looking at a success. She is looking at a social calculation she cannot solve. She is looking at the last 29 years of her life and realizing she has made a catastrophic public irreversible error. She looks up from her phone. Her hand is trembling. The phone clatters from her grip, hitting the dessert plate with a sharp crack. Her gaze finds mine. It is not the gaze of a mother to her child. It is the gaze of a stranger, of a victim, of a person who has just seen a ghost and realized it was her all along. The string trio has stopped playing. The violin is half lowered, the bow dangling uselessly. The clinking of silverware is gone. The murmur of conversation is dead. The only sound in the entire 200-seat restaurant is the thwack, thwack, thwack of the kitchen door. The busboy, unaware, bursts through again, his arms full of dirty plates. He freezes, sensing the morgue-like vacuum. He looks around, terrified, and backs slowly into the kitchen, letting the door swing shut. Thwack. Silence. Paige is the last to know. She is standing alone in the center of the room. Her toast completed, her smile fixed. But the room is no longer looking at her. The room is looking at me. Her smile begins to twitch. The corners are faltering. What is it? She asks the room, her voice a little too loud. What's wrong? No one answers her. She looks at her mother. Mom. What's going on? My mother cannot speak. Her lips are parted. She is just staring at me. Dad. Paige's voice is rising. A thin, sharp note of panic. My father. His face gray, and slowly, heavily, turns his head. He looks away from the judge's phone. He looks past his wife. He looks past his perfect daughter. He looks at me. His mouth opens. A dry rasping sound. He tries again. Chloe. His voice is not his own. It is a sound I have never heard. It is the sound of a man's entire worldview shattering. Chloe. Is this real? The silence in the room is no longer just a pause. It is a vacuum. It is a dense, heavy physical thing pressing in on all of us. Every eye is a lens, and I am the single, unmoving object at the focal point. My father's question hangs in the air. A pathetic, frayed thread. Is this real? My chair makes a scraping sound on the floor. It is the only sound in the restaurant. It is louder than a gunshot. I stand up. I am no longer the void in the black dress. I am the black dress. I am the person who has been sitting by the kitchen door. I am the CEO of Mythic Loop. I look at my father. I look at the ashen, hollow-eyed man who just asked me if my life is real. Yes. I say. My voice is clear. It is not loud, but it cuts through the silence and finds every corner of the room. It's real. But my father stammers. His brain is a broken machine trying to execute a command that does not exist. He is looking for a category. The number the judge said billion what? What billion? He is pleading not for information but for a negation. He wants someone to tell him it is a mistake. My mother answers him. She has picked up her phone. Her hand is shaking, but her voice is not her own. It is a new voice. A flat, robotic, reading aloud voice. The voice of a person who has been handed a script she does not understand but is compelled to perform. She reads from the screen. Mythic Loop Studios, a global leader in interactive entertainment, announces a Series E funding round, led by... She stumbles over the name of the Tokyo Consortium. Led by, leading to a post-money valuation of $9.1 billion. Silence. The number lands. $9.1 billion. It is an abstract, impossible sound. And then my mother adds the part that matters. Her eyes are still glued to the screen. Her voice, still a dead monotone. The report says founder and CEO Chloe Mitchell retains a majority stake estimated at $2.3 billion in personal shares. She says, the number 2.3 billion. The sound that escapes my father's lips is just air. A small defeated. Oh. The room has its new center of gravity. It is me, and that is the one thing Paige will not accept. Her face, which had been a mask of confusion, clarifies it, hardens. The panic is gone, replaced by a pure, unadulterated, focused rage. She is no longer at the head table. She is off the pedestal. She takes 2 steps toward me. Her white dress, a stark contrast to my black one. Her hand is still holding the champagne flute. Her knuckles are white. You, she says. Her voice is low, shaking, venomous. You did this. You planned this. You ruined my night. My night. I look at her. The perfect daughter. The one who followed the rules. No. I say. And my voice is still calm. Procedural. I didn't schedule the press. The investors in Tokyo set the timeline. It was 1000 p.m. Pacific. It wasn't my choice. You're lying, she screeches. And for the first time, Her voice is not perfect. It is shrill. You did this to me. It's true. Paige. The voice is quiet male. It is her husband. The young, ambitious lawyer. He has his phone in his hand. He looks sick. He is not looking at her. He is looking at me. It's everywhere. It's on the journal. It's on every wire. It's the lead story. He is not defending me. He is assessing the damage. He is looking at his own real career and realizing with a dawning icy horror that he is married into the wrong side of the family. He has backed the wrong horse. The spell is broken. The whisper. The silence. It now becomes a different kind of sound. It is the sound of recalculation. A woman. One of my mother's friends. A woman whose name I have never been able to remember, but whose face has looked through me 1,000 times. Steps forward. She is a tide of beige silk and expensive perfume. My dear Chloe. She gushes. Her hands outstretched. Her diamonds glittering. My dear. You are absolutely incredible. I had no idea. She is coming in to touch my arm. To make contact. To claim a piece. I raise my left hand. Palm out. A simple, quiet gesture. A stop sign. I'm sorry, I say. And my voice is not apologetic. It is a command. Not now. The woman freezes. Her hands, which were coming to bless me, are now suspended in the air. Her smile falters. She has never been told not now by someone who sits at table 11. She retreats. Her face flushed, insulted, but also frightened, and the power shifts. It is a physical thing. It is a change in pressure. The center of the room, which had been Paige, which had been the head table, is now this 2 feet radius of carpet by the kitchen door. The men, the partners, the judge, who had been clustered around my father, are now detaching. They are a flotilla, and they are changing course. They are not rushing. They are men of power. They are simply drifting. They are angling. Their bodies are turning toward me. Their conversations are still murmurs. But their eyes are fixed. They are no longer looking at the party. They are looking at the market. And I am the market. My father sees it. He sees his allies, his peers, his entire social structure, turning their backs on him and floating toward me. He takes a stumbling step forward. He is gray. Chloe, he whispers. It is a raw, desperate, pleading sound. Chloe, please. Why? Why didn't you tell us? He is not asking why I didn't share my joy. He is not asking why I didn't include them in my struggle. He is asking why I did not give him the asset. He is asking why I let him make a fool of himself by betting on the wrong number. I look at him. The man who asked if my first game was for the SAT. I did tell you, I say, and my voice is still quiet. I told you when I wrote my first line of code. I told you when I begged you to look at my text adventure. I told you when I tried to explain what computer science was. I told you when I sold my car to pay a server bill. He flinches. He remembers the car. The $2,300. You just didn't speak the language. My mother is beside him. She is paper white. She is still clutching her phone. A talisman that has betrayed her. She is stuck. Her brain has one track. A real career. She whispers. It is not an insult. It is a question. A prayer to a God that just abandoned her. Paige. Paige has a real career. I turn my head. I look at my mother, the woman who just read my net worth to a room full of strangers. This, I say, and I nod toward the phone in her hand, is real enough to buy the gift registry. It was real enough to buy the knives and the pots and pans. It was real enough to pay for all of this. My gaze sweeps the room. The Lees. The string quartet. The uneaten, melting desserts. The $85,000 a year celebration. This is all a rounding error. Mom. Her mouth opens. Closes. No sound. You're jealous. The voice is Paige's. She has found her footing. She has found the old reliable script. She is crying now. Real tears. They are hot. Angry. Mascara tinged. They are the tears of the protagonist. This is all because you were jealous. She sobs. You were jealous of my grades. You were jealous of my job. You were jealous that I had a real life, and you couldn't stand it. You had to do this. You had to ruin my one perfect night. She is right. This is her one perfect night. The pinnacle. The celebration of her $85,000 a year life. The party for her real career. I look at her. Her mascara running. Her white dress a costume. Her hands clenched. And the rage that I have carried for 6 years. The cold, hard engine that built a world. It does not ignite. It just dissolves. There is nothing left to be angry at. No. Paige. I say. My voice is soft. There is no triumph in it. There is only a great, vast, arid sadness. I'm not jealous. I pause. I look at my father, my mother, my sister, the trinity that defined me by my absence. I was busy, I say. I was busy building a world while you were busy building an impression. The room is a tomb. No one claps. No one cheers. No one speaks. The string quartet is not playing. The kitchen door is for a miracle. Closed. There is only the silence. The heavy, suffocating billion-dollar silence. And the low mechanical hum of the air conditioning, which has not stopped, which does not care, which just continues to pump cold, sterile air into a room that has just had its entire social order executed. The silence holds for a beat. 2. 3. Then the inevitable. The phones, which had been the instruments of revelation, now become the instruments of commentary. Another wave of notifications. But this one is different. It is not the raw data of the financial wire. It is the narrative. I see a young lawyer, one of Paige's friends, staring at his screen. He mutters the headline to himself. But in the tomb-like quiet, it's as loud as a speech. The Financial Times. The mysterious CEO at table 11 who flipped the script at the lawyer's party. The headline is a judgment. It is a story. And, in one sentence, it has cast every single person in this room. My parents, the hosts, Paige, the guest of honor, and me, the mysterious CEO at table 11. The narrative is set. The roles are assigned. The play is over. I watched the group of Paige's law school friends, the ones who had been laughing, loud and competitive. Their faces are a fascinating study in retroactive terror. I can see the memory dawning on them. The jokes, the whispers, the casual passing dismissals. That's her sister. The weird one. The one who fixes printers. Their faces are not pale. They are a deep, blotchy, painful red. It is the flush of profound public humiliation. They had the opportunity to know me. They had the opportunity to be kind, or even just neutral, to the person who has just been valued at $2.3 billion. And they chose to make fun of her for fixing printers. They are not looking at me. They are staring very, very hard at their water glasses, praying for a sinkhole to open up and swallow them. Their real careers have just taught them their first real lesson. They misidentified the most important person in the room. Then, Judge Arthur Pembroke. He is a man who understands power, and he is a man who understands status, and he is a man who has just been made to look like a fool. He was the guest of honor. The prize. The social validation for my parents' achievement? He is now simply a man who was rude to a billionaire. He does not look at me. He looks at my parents. He turns his heavy judicial gaze on my father, who is still a gray, hollowed-out shell, and my mother, who is frozen, her hand still on her phone. His voice is low. It is not angry. It is cold. It is the voice he uses for sentencing. Richard Ann, he says. His voice a low, growly rumble. You put her at table 11. It is not a question. It is a statement of fact. It is an indictment. You, he continues, his gaze sweeping over the kitchen door, the partition, the drafty corner. Put the person who owns this entire building at table 11. He lets the words hang. The person who owns this building. It is a metaphor. But it is also, I realize with a jolt, probably literally true. I could buy this restaurant. I could buy this entire block. I could buy the bank that Uncle David works for. The judge understands this. And he is disgusted. Not for me, but for the breach of protocol, for the gross public misalignment of the social order. They put the power in the shadows. They committed the ultimate social sin. My mother, she just deflates. The word is shrinks. She physically contracts. Her shoulders, which had been so proud, so poised, curl inward. Her head bows. She is a small, pale, terrified woman. She is no longer the curator of the party. She is the defendant. She has been found guilty of a crime she did not even know was on the law books. My father, to his credit, tries. He fumbles. He has no words. So, he reaches for an action. A prop. He reaches for his napkin. The heavy linen square that is still neatly on his lap. He picks it up. He unfolds it. He stares at it. He refolds it. He places it back on his lap. He looks at it as if it is the most complex, most fascinating, most important document he has ever read. It is an act of pure, desperate displacement. Do not look at me. Do not look at my failure. Look at this. This napkin. My phone. I had almost forgotten. It is no longer buzzing with a single polite notification. It is now vibrating. A deep, incessant, angry, demanding vibration. It is a physical assault in my pocket. The screen is a strobe light of incoming calls and messages. I do not need to look. I know who it is. It is the investors who are not in Tokyo. The ones in New York and London who are now wide awake and calling to say congratulations. It is the reporters. The ones from the Journal, from Forbes, from the Times who have my number and are now officially on deadline. It is the Asian partners. It is morning in Seoul. It is morning in Shanghai. They have seen the wire. They are calling to confirm. It is the entire world all at once in a 10p Pacific wave trying to get a piece of table 11. I pull the phone from my pocket. The screen is a blur. Call waiting. Call waiting. Secure message. Secure message. I am not rude. I do not answer. I do not decline. I simply press the volume down button and the power button at the same time. The screen goes dark. The vibration stops. I have muted the world. I look at the room. The drift has begun. The partners. The judge. Uncle David. They are finished with my parents. They are now in a holding pattern waiting for me. They are trying to find the polite, casual, non-desperate way to approach the multi-billionaire they have been ignoring for 3 hours. They are waiting for the apology. They are waiting for my mother to apologize, for my father to apologize, and then they will swoop in the ensuing confusion and make their introduction. So sorry about that. Chloe. A terrible misunderstanding. Now about your data hosting strategy. The apology will become their opportunity. I will not give it to them. I look at my family. My mother, small and broken. My father obsessed with a piece of cloth. My sister, her face a ruin of tears and rage. I have said my piece. The truth is on the table. I turn. I walk away. I do not walk toward the main entrance. I walk toward the service corridor. Past table 11, toward the kitchen. The busboy is standing there, just inside the door, his face pale, holding a tray. Excuse me, I say, and my voice is quiet. He jumps terrified and flattens himself against the wall, pulling the door wide. Yes. Ma'am. Sorry. Ma'am. I walk through the stainless steel doors. I walk past the clattering dish station, past the heat lamps, past the walk-in freezer. The executive chef is there screaming at a line cook, but he stops mid-scream to stare at the woman in the black evening dress who is walking through his kitchen as if she owns it. I walk out the service exit. I am in a concrete hallway. I push a metal bar and an alarm beeps and I am outside. I am in the alley. The air is cold. It smells like sea salt and restaurant dumpsters. It is the first real clean breath I have taken all night. I walk down the alley, my heels clicking on the damp concrete. I walk toward the front of the restaurant, toward the valet. I am almost there. Chloe. The voice is a screech. A sound of pure, raw animal pain. I stop. I turn. Paige is running. She is running from the polished glass and mahogany front doors of the restaurant. She is running in her white dress, stumbling on her heels. Her mascara is no longer just smudged. It is a black, greasy, tribal smear across her face. Fia. She screams again. She catches up to me in the valet circle under the harsh yellow light of the Port Kosher. The valet, a line of young men in red vests, just stare. You! She is panting, her chest heaving. She is not just crying. She is weeping. Sobs that rack her entire body. You! She spits. You stole it. You stole my night. She is in so much pain. The pain of the protagonist. The pain of the girl who had everything and just had it repossessed publicly and without warning. I didn't steal anything. Paige. I say. I am so tired. The adrenaline of the past 6 years is draining, leaving behind a cold, hollow ache. You planned it. She sobs, and her hands clench into fists. If you, my job, my $85,000, she says the number, and it is a pathetic, small, ridiculous sound. It is a joke. She knows it is a joke, and that makes her angrier. You made me a joke. She rears back. Her right hand, her hand with the large sparkling engagement ring, comes up. She is going to hit me. She is going to slap me. The way a protagonist slaps the villain in the final scene. It all seems to happen in slow motion. Her hand swings. I do not flinch. I do not step back. I just raise my left hand. I am not faster. I am just more efficient. I catch her wrist. I do not grab it. I do not squeeze. I just intercept it. My fingers close around her wrist. My thumb on the pressure point. Her hand stops a half-inch from my face. The force of her swing dies. It is not a violent act. It is a block. It is a firewall. It is a simple, logical operation. Access denied. She freezes. Her hand is trapped in mine. She tries to pull away. I do not let go. We are frozen under the yellow light. Her? The weeping bride. Me. The woman in black. Let go of me. She sees her tears now just hot, impotent rage. No. I say. I look into her eyes. The eyes of the sister who has never, not once, seen me. You don't hate me, Paige. I say. And my voice is the quietest it has been all night. It is almost a whisper. You are not angry. You are just terrified. I hate you. She spits. But her voice is breaking. No. You hate the truth. I hold her wrist. I hold her gaze. You hate the fact that I won. You hate that I won. And I won by not playing your game. I won by not playing by Mom's rules. I won by not playing by Dad's rules. Her face crumples. The rage is gone. The anger is gone. There is just disillusionment. Her body sags. I am holding her up by her wrist. It's not fair, she whispers. It is the cry of a child. The final broken protest of the favorite who has just been told there is another, more important child. It's not fair, she says again. Her head bowing. The mascara dripping onto the bodice of her perfect white dress. I did everything right. I did the violin. I did the debate. I did the law school. I did everything they asked. It's not fair. She is right. I look at her. This broken, ruined 30-year-old child. No. I say it isn't. I let go of her wrist. She doesn't fall, but she stumbles. She collapses against one of the large decorative pillars. She slides down, her white dress pooling around her on the dirty pavement of the valet circle. She is sobbing. A deep, racking, hopeless sound. The sound of a person whose entire religion has just been proven false. A valet. A young kid steps forward, his face full of concern. Ma'am, do you need help? Paige just weeps. I look at her, a crumpled pile of shattered expectations. No. I say to the valet. She'll be fine. She's just learned that life is rarely fair. Len. I look back at my sister. But there are other paths. I turn. A valet is holding the door to my car. He had my keys. He knew. I get in. I do not look back. I pull out of the valet circle, leaving my sister weeping on the curb. Under the harsh yellow light, I drive past the front of the restaurant, the glass and mahogany doors, and in the reflection, in the dark glass, I can see my father and my mother standing in the doorway, frozen, watching me drive away. The light turns green. I accelerate and the glass doors swing gently, quietly, shut behind me. The drive from Newport Coast to downtown LA takes 58 minutes. I do not speed. I do not play music. The only sound in the cabin of the car is the quiet, filtered hum of the electric engine and the automated voice of the navigation system, which I do not need, but have left on for the companionship of its predictable procedural commands. In 1/4 mile, merge right. I merge right. The world is a set of instructions. Follow them and you arrive at your destination. My parents had a set of instructions. Paige followed them. I wrote my own. The private elevator from the parking garage opens directly into my apartment. The doors slide shut behind me. A heavy, soundless partition. My home is silent. It is not the terrified, empty silence of the restaurant. It is an intentional, structured silence. The silence of a space that is exactly as I designed it. I do not turn on the lights. The city provides the illumination. My apartment is a glass box on the 42nd floor. The entire south and west-facing walls are floor-to-ceiling windows. I walk across the dark polished concrete floor. My heels from the party still on. The sound of sharp, lonely click-clack, click. I stop at the glass. Los Angeles from this height is not a city. It is a data visualization. A vast, glittering, complex circuit board stretching from the darkness of the mountains to the black, empty void of the Pacific. A sea of stars, just as the prompt had described it. Millions of points of light. Each one a car, a home, a life, a connection, a network. I have been building a network of my own, a digital one. And tonight, the two networks, the physical and the digital, have finally and violently acknowledged each other. I stand there for a long time. I'm not thinking. I am processing. I am letting the data from the night buffer. Paige's face crumpled in the yellow valet light. My father's obsession with a napkin. My mother shrinking. The judge's cold, indicting stare. The words table 11, real career billion. My phone, the one I had muted, is in my hand. I had taken it from my pocket when I got in the car. I turn it on. The screen explodes. It is a waterfall of notifications. A denial of service attack on my personal life. The phone is hot in my hand. It vibrates. A long, continuous seizure-like spasm as it tries to catch up with the queue of messages that have been flooding the network. I watch the counters tick up. 129 new text messages, 42 missed calls, 298 new emails. I place the phone on the thick marble kitchen island. I place it screen down. The vibration continues, making the phone rattle against the stone. A low, angry, buzzing sound. The sound of the world demanding entry. I go to my office. I take a heavy glass paperweight from my desk. I go back to the kitchen. I place the paperweight on top of the phone. The buzzing is muffled. It is still there, but it is contained. I am in control of the notifications. I walk back to the window and I wait. I am a CEO. I am an engineer. I am used to waiting. I wait for code to compile. I wait for servers to provision. I wait for data to render. And I wait for the narrative to form. I pull a second clean phone from my office. The one that is not tied to my name. The one I use for research. I open a browser. The narrative is already there. It is fast. Bloomberg. The silent game queen. How Chloe Mitchell built a 9 billion empire in her sister's shadow. Forbes. What is a real career? Inside the table, 11 takedown that rocked Newport Beach. TechCrunch Mythic Loops. God Tier Series E is a masterclass in stealth. CEO Chloe Mitchell is the new story. They are building the story. They are casting me. The mysterious, silent, vengeful nerd. The dark sister. The hidden queen. It is a clean story. It is a good story. It is like all good stories. A complete work of fiction. There was no plan. There was no takedown. There was just a scheduling conflict and a family that ran on a flawed operating system. I close the browser. The narrative is out of my control. It belongs to them now. My work is not the narrative. My work is the work. My real phone, the one under the paperweight, begins to ring. A different sound. Not a text. Not an alert. A call. It rings and rings and rings. I do not move. It stops. It rings again. It rings again. It has been ringing in steady. Desperate pulses for 10 minutes. I am tracking the caller ID on my watch, which is synced. The watch is silent, but the screen flashes. Mom. 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 Call failed. Mom. Mom. It is the 21st call. A machine-like persistence. The persistence of a script caught in an infinite loop. I walk to the island. I lift the paperweight. I slide my thumb across the screen. I do not say hello. I just listen. The sound that comes through the speaker is not a voice. It is a sound I have never heard. It is a raw, jagged animal sound. It is my mother weeping. It is not the polite Martied crying I have heard my whole life. It is the sound of a complete systemic collapse. I wait. I let her process. Chloe. She finally chokes out. I'm here. Oh, Chloe. Oh, Chloe. We are. She is trying to read from the script. She is trying to find the file for proud parent. We are so proud of you. So, Mom. I cut her off. My voice is not unkind. It is just precise. It is the voice of a diagnostician. I have to ask a question, and I need you to be honest with me. Yes. She whispers. Anything. Are you proud of me, or are you proud of the number? The line goes dead. Not a disconnection. A silence. A silence so profound, so absolute. I check to see if the call has dropped. It hasn't. The timer is still ticking. It is the longest silence of my life. It is a vast empty canyon. In that silence, I hear her. She is processing the query. She is, for the first time in her life, debugging her own code. Her voice, when it comes back, is not a sob. It is a whisper. It is a small, cracked, broken thing. She stops a sharp intake of breath. I'm ashamed. She whispers, and there it is. The truth. I'm so ashamed because I didn't understand. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. Mom, I say. And there is no accusation in it. It is just a fact. No, she says. And her voice is so small. No, I didn't because it wasn't. It wasn't the story I wanted. And I'm so sorry. Chloe. But I'm so proud. It is a messy, contradictory, human admission. It is the most real conversation we have ever had. Get some sleep. Mom, I say. I love you. She says. A desperate, fumbling thing. I know. I say. I end the call. I place the phone back on the island. I do not put the paper back on. It rings almost immediately. Dad. I answer. Chloe. His voice. It is not the voice from the party. It is not the hearty scotch and cigars voice. It is not the disappointed SAT score. It is the voice of a man I have never met. It is small. It is hesitant. It is old. It is the voice of a man admitting fault for the very first time. Hi. Dad? A long pause. He is assembling his words. He is a man who builds arguments, and all his blueprints are wrong. I want to apologize. He stammers. For what? I ask. It is another honest question. For tonight? For Paige. For 29 years. I need him to define the parameters. He stops. He doesn't know. I didn't see you. His voice cracks. I didn't see you. He repeats, as if he is just realizing it. You were right there. And I didn't see you all those years. You were looking for Paige. I finish for him. Yes, he whispers. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was still there. Dad, I say, and I'm just so tired. I am tired of this code. I was just in a different framework. I wasn't in the one you were running. A framework, he says, tasting the word. Yes, I suppose so. He clears his throat. I hear him moving, pacing. Your mother and I, we want to see you. We need to see you. Can we come over? I look at the glass wall. I look at my pristine, silent home. The thought of them in their current raw, chaotic state entering this space is inefficient. No. Oh, he says. His voice small, defeated. Not here. I say, clarifying. And not a party. No more parties. No. Of course. Come over to the house, I say. In Irvine. The old house for dinner. I'll come to you dinner, he says, relief flooding his voice. Yes. Dinner tomorrow. I'll check my schedule. I say. I'll text you. Okay. Yes. We love you, Chloe. I know. Dad. I end the call. I place the phone screen down on the island. It is silent. The flood has for a moment receded. The night is over. I do not sleep. I do not have time. I shower. The hot water is a necessary reset. I change. Not into pajamas. Into my work clothes. Black jeans. A gray t-shirt. At 4:30 inches the morning, I am in my office. The glass wall to my left. The city. A dark sleeping thing. I am on a video call. It is the 8:30mm executive stand-up. Leo is on the screen. His hair a mess. a coffee cup the size of his head in his hand. Sophia is there. Her data dashboard's already glowing on the screens behind her. My executive team. My family. Morning. Boss. Leo says, yawning. You're early. Couldn't sleep. I say us either. Sophia says. And she is smiling. A real bright smile. The numbers from the new patch are there insane. Insane good or insane bad? I ask. Insane good? She says player-created content is up 28%. 28% in a single day? The new object physics kernel. It's working. They're building things we never even dreamed of. They're happy. Leo grins. We did it. Chloe. It's stable. It's fast. And they love it. There is no mention of the party. There is no mention of $9.1 billion. There is no fawning. No congratulations. No. Oh my God. Chloe. They already know. They have known for months. The valuation is just paperwork to them. It is the end of a long, boring process. The work is a 28% increase in user happiness. To them, I am not a mysterious queen. I am not an avenging sister. I am not a number. I am just Chloe. The one who signs the checks. The one who gets on the early call. The one who pushes the hot fix. I am just me. We talk for an hour. We plan the next sprint. We identify 3 new bugs. We schedule a new build. We do the work. Okay. I say as the call ends. Good work. Team. Get some rest. But not too much. They laugh. They sign off. The screens go dark. I am alone in my office. I turn my chair to the east over the San Gabriel Mountains. The sun is rising. A thin, sharp, perfect line of orange light. It cuts across the black, outlining the world in fire. The city is still dark, but the light is coming. And for the first time in my entire life, I feel a genuine, structural, profound quiet. The system is stable. The world is at peace. The dawn is breaking. And I am for the first time exactly where I'm supposed to be. I didn't drive the SUV. I have a car I keep in a separate garage a few blocks from my building. It's a 1998 Toyota Camry beige. The paint is peeling on the roof. The air conditioning is broken. It has 243,000 meters on it. I bought it for cash 2 years ago. I use it when I need to remember what's real. I drove the beige Toyota from downtown LA to Irvine. I kept the windows down. The sound of the road. The hot Santa Ana wind. The smell of exhaust. It was a grounding sensation. I pulled up to the house. The same 2-story suburban house I grew up in. The lawn was perfectly manicured. The rose bushes, my mother's pride, were aggressively in bloom. I parked on the street. I did not pull into the driveway. I walked up the familiar concrete path. I used the key that I have kept on my key ring for a decade. The one that no longer matches the rest of my life. It slid into the lock. It turned. I didn't have to call out. They were waiting. The house smelled of simmering garlic and tomatoes. My mother's apology sauce. The one she makes when there has been a fight. But she isn't ready to admit she was wrong. It is a peace offering. A way to fill the silence with an aroma of comfort. They were in the kitchen. Not in the formal dining room. The one reserved for guests and holidays. The kitchen. The center of the old house. At the worn oak table where I used to do my homework. No string quartet. No whitely eyes. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the bubbling of the pot on the stove. They were sitting across from each other at the far end of the table. They were not touching. They were looking at the empty chair at the head of the table. My father's chair. And the empty chair next to it. To my chair. They looked up when I walked in. Their eyes. That was the first thing I saw. They were red. They were raw. They were exhausted. They looked like they had been awake for 100 years. My mother's hair was not perfect. It was pulled back. But strands were loose. She was not wearing makeup. My father was in a polo shirt. A faded one. He looked smaller. The authority, the bluster, the certainty. It was all gone. He just looked like an old man. I did not go to them. I did not hug them. They did not stand. It was not a reunion. It was a deposition. I walked to the table. I did not sit in my old chair. I pulled out a different one. One that placed me at the end of the table. Perpendicular to them. I did not want to be part of their configuration. I was establishing a new one. My mother put her hands on the table. Palms down. A gesture of surrender. My father mirrored her. 2 sets of hands resting on the old scarred wood. Waiting. The silence was thick. Heavy with the things we couldn't say. The $9.1 billion. The $2.3 billion. Table 11. The public shame. The private failure. My mother broke it. The sauce, she said. Her voice a dry rasp. It's almost ready. It smells good. I said. It was a neutral fact. Another silence. My father cleared his throat. He looked at my mother. Then at me. We. He started. He stopped. My mother's hand twitched. Just tell us. She whispered. Her eyes were pleading. Please start from the beginning. Just talk. She looked at my father. He nodded. His eyes fixed on the wood grain. We will listen, he said. And I knew in that moment that this was the first time in my entire life that sentence was true. They were not waiting to correct. They were not waiting to interrupt. They were not waiting to compare me to Paige. They were finally, and only because of a catastrophic social and financial explosion, ready to listen. So I talked. I did not talk about the money. I did not talk about the party. I talked about the work. It was me, Leo, and Sophia. I started. My voice sounded strange in this kitchen. Too low. Too calm. I told them about the apartment. The cold one. I told them about the instant ramen and the donut shop. I told them about the 47 rejections. I named them. I named the VC firms. I named the men in the blue sweaters. I described the glass-walled conference rooms on Sand Hill Road. I told them what no sounds like in 47 different polite, condescending ways. I told them about my Honda. I sold the Honda. I said. The one you gave me for graduation. My father flinched. His eyes shut just for a second. That car had been his idea of a good job reward. I sold it for $2,300 to a lot on Harbor Boulevard. It bought us 10 more weeks of server time. My mother made a small sound. A whimper. She put her hand over her mouth. I told them about Pixel Forge. I told them what it felt like to launch a product, to put your entire soul into the code, and to have no one show up. The silence of an empty server. It failed, I said completely. We were done. I told them about my father's phone call. The one where he told me Paige was stable. The one where he asked me when I was going to be. My father's head bowed. He was staring at his hands. He was. I realized, deeply and profoundly ashamed. And then I said, we started over. I told them about Arcadia Odyssey. I told them about the 412M crash of the beta. I told them about the launch day, the I/O bottleneck, the hotfix. I told them about the joy. You don't understand, I said, and my voice for the first time had feeling. You don't know what it's like. Our 10th employee, her name was Anna. She was a systems administrator, and we could offer her health insurance. We could give her a 401k. We were real. We were a real company. I told them about hiring the 100th employee. The panic of the all-hands meeting. I told them about the Dublin office. About flying to Ireland alone at 25 to sign a lease for an office for people I had not yet hired. I told them about the deal that fell apart at the 89th minute. A $50 million deal gone because of a single line item in a European privacy law. I told them about sitting on the curb in Dublin at 3:0 inches the morning in the rain and rewriting the entire user data protocol on my laptop. My mother was crying quietly. Tears were just leaking from her eyes and falling onto her hands. My father was not moving. He was a statue of regret. I had been talking for an hour. The sauce was burning. I could smell it. The sharp, acrid scent of scorched tomatoes. My mother did not move to fix it. The kitchen filled with the smell of failure. I stopped talking. I looked at them and I asked the question. The one question that mattered. The one that sat at the core of our entire broken relationship. I have to ask. I said, my voice very quiet. If I had come to you back then after the Honda was gone, if I had sat at this table right here and said, Mom, Dad, I have an idea for a game. I need $50,000 for server time. Would you have given it to me? The silence was not the long, thoughtful silence of my phone call with my mother. This was a different silence. This was the silence of a computer that has been given a command it cannot parse. Does not compute. My father. I watched him. He opened his mouth. He wanted to say yes. Oh God, how he wanted to say yes. He wanted to be the father who believed. He wanted to be the dad from the movies. But he was an honest man in his own flawed way. He was a man who believed in real careers. He looked at me. His eyes were full of a terrible, profound, and deeply honest sadness. And he just couldn't say the word. He closed his mouth. He shook his head once. A small, almost imperceptible, defeated gesture. No. The answer was no. And that was it. That was the truth. I nodded. I did not cry. I did not yell. I just processed. The query was complete. The answer was returned. Thank you, I said, for being honest. I pushed my chair back. I built another family, I said, standing up. Because I had to. I call them my team, my partners, Leo and Sophia. They're my family. Because when I had nothing, we had each other, and we believed in the work. They just nodded. They understood. Too late. They had understood nothing. And now, in one night, they were being forced to understand everything. My mother looked up, her face a mess of tears. I always said stable, she whispered, the words catching in her throat. I just wanted you to be safe. I was just so afraid. That's all. I was just so afraid of this new thing. This thing I didn't know. I know, I said. You used stable as a weapon to cover for scared. She flinched, but she nodded. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I did. I was at the door. I looked back at them. The two of them, sitting at their old worn table in their kitchen that smelled of burnt tomatoes. They were the ghosts. They were the past. I'm not coming back, I said. My mother's head snapped up, her eyes wide with a new terror. What? What do you mean? I mean, I said, I'm not coming back to be her. I'm not coming back to be the girl who sits at table 11. I'm not coming back to be the other one. I'm not coming back to be a copy of anything. I looked at my father. I am not Paige's sister. I am Chloe Mitchell. I opened the door. I am not a hobby, and I am not a printer fixer. I am a CEO. I walked out. I did not slam the door. There was no anger left for that. There was no need. The rage had been fuel, and the engine had reached its destination. I just pulled the door closed. It clicked. A soft, final, definitive sound. The boundary was drawn. I walked back to my old beige Toyota, got in, and drove back to my real life. The morning of the Series E press conference was, by design, the exact opposite of the party. The event was held at a large, sterile, and aggressively functional convention center in downtown LA. The lights were not warm and amber. They were a brutal, flat, white LED glare. There were no leaves. The air smelled of industrial carpet and lukewarm coffee. The room was packed. They were not my family's friends. They were the press. I sat at a long, Simple table with Leo, Sophia, and our new lead investors from Tokyo. I was wearing a simple dark gray blouse. I was not at table 11. I was at the head of the table. The financial briefing was handled by our CFO. The technical roadmap was handled by Leo. The user engagement data was handled by Sophia. Then it was my turn. The QA. The first hand in the air was from a major financial journal. Chloe, the reporter said, and his voice was sharp. Your valuation is staggering. But the story everyone is talking about is what happened 2 nights ago. The party table 11. Can you comment on the experience of building an empire in a family that apparently thought you fixed printers? The room tensed. The cameras focused. This was the blood they had come for. This was the gossip. I let the question hang in the air. I looked at the reporter. I'm not an expert on interior decorating, I said, and my voice was calm and even filling the room. I'm an engineer and a CEO. And while the seating arrangement was inefficient, I'm not here to talk about a party. I'm here to talk about what we are building next. I saw a ripple of disappointment. I didn't care. The $9.1 billion valuation is not a finish line, I said, leaning forward. It's a starting block, and it's an opportunity, which is why I am announcing effective today the formation of the Horizon Fund. I clicked to the next slide. It was a blank white screen with black text. I am personally allocating 1% of my equity in Mythic Loop to create this foundation. That equity will be locked for a minimum of 5 years. A new different kind of silence. The reporters were doing the math. 1%, $91 million. The sound of frantic typing. The Horizon Fund, I continued, will be dedicated to a single mission, funding public high school students in underserved, low-income districts who wish to pursue education in computer science and digital arts. I clicked again. There will be strict ethical bindings on all grants. No funding will be provided for projects that include or support harmful content directed at children. All projects must adhere to a public, transparent set of safety and community standards. We are not just funding coders. We are funding architects. The room was stunned. They had come for a family drama. They had come for a revenge story. I had just given them a multi-million-dollar 5-year ethically bound nonprofit commitment. I had not used flowery language. I had not attacked my family. I had simply redirected the value. I had taken the power they had all just discovered, and I had given it away. But with purpose. As the next reporter began to ask a fumbling question about the fund, my phone was flat on the table in front of me. I had one message pre-typed. Ready to go. I hit send. The recipient was Paige. The message was not an apology. It was not a demand. It was an offer. Horizon Fund. Need Pruno legal counsel to structure the nonprofit charter. 2 hours a week. Let me know. Across town. I knew she would see it. She would be sitting in her new perfect apartment surrounded by wedding gifts. She no longer wanted her real career feelings suddenly. Painfully small. I saw my screen light up with the 3 pulsing dots of her typing. Then they vanished. She was hesitating. She was thinking. I sent one more. If it fits, stay. If not, I get it. The dots did not return. The decision was hers. The second surprise was already in motion. While I was answering questions about server architecture, a tech blogger who had been digging into the Table 11 story found a new thread. An email had just moments before gone out. It was a forwarded confirmation from the gift registry. It was my thank you note. It showed that the entire gift registry from Paige's party, the German knives, the all-clad cookware, the blenders, the crystal had been at my request rerouted. The total value had been donated in full to a fictional local charity called the Haven Women's Shelter. Almost the entire list. The blogger noted with a screenshot that one item had been excluded from the donation. One item had been shipped instead to my address. A single $20 nonstick saucepan. The one my mother had added to the list herself. Just in case. The one she had used my whole childhood. The narrative on social media, which had been salivating for a fight, pivoted on a dime. It wasn't a takedown. It was a redirection. She didn't humiliate her sister. She just pointed out what real value looks like. A class move. She redirected the assets. That afternoon, my parents came to Mythic Loop. It was their first time. I had my assistant meet them at the lobby. I gave her specific instructions. No press. No photos. No check-ins. Just a tour. I watched from my office through the glass wall. I watched them walk small and hesitant through the vast open-plan engineering floor. They looked like time travelers. They were surrounded by 200 people in t-shirts and jeans. A sea of monitors and whiteboards covered in code. This was the world I had built. The one that had been invisible. I saw my father stop at a whiteboard covered in what was to him just gibberish. He just stared. I saw my mother watching the collaborative, chaotic, happy energy. I watched them meet Leo. He was in shorts and a faded t-shirt. He shook their hands. "This is amazing," my father stammered, gesturing at a server rack. Leo just smiled. "We call it home. Chloe's on a call. She'll be right out. Did you see the new physics kernel she wrote for the last patch? It's genius." I watched my parents' faces. They had never heard that word associated with me. Not in that way. They were seeing me for the first time through the eyes of my family. The people who called me Chloe. Not the CEO. Not the billionaire. But Chloe. When they came into my office, they were silent. My mother was holding something. A long black violin case. She set it down gently on my desk. It was Paige's, the one she had played with joyless precision. We had dinner last night," my mother said, her voice small. "Paige. She's thinking." She touched the case. She wanted you to have this," she said. My mother took a breath. She said, "Maybe Chloe will want to learn a new tune." It was an offering. A broken, strange, but real offering. Before I could answer, the door to my office opened again. It was Paige. She was not in a white dress. She was not in a power suit. She was in a simple blue button-down shirt. The sleeves were rolled up. Her hair was pulled back. She had no makeup on. She looked like a worker. She was holding a single manila folder. She looked at me. She looked at our parents. "If you are still looking," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "For a pro bono lawyer for the fund? I can start next week." I read the charter. It's good, but it needs a section on liability. She was not apologizing. She was working. I looked at her. My sister. The one who had in 48 hours had her entire real world crash. And she was here. Her sleeves were rolled up. I nodded. "Good," I said. "We always need people who are willing to listen to something new." The knot was not untied. There was no grand, tearful Hollywood apology on a stage. There was just work. A new path. Later that night, I was standing at my window. The glass wall. Los Angeles was glittering. A vast, beautiful, logical system. My phone buzzed. A single quiet message. It was not a VC. It was not a reporter. It was not my family. It was the first query routed from the New Horizon Fund website. It was from a kid, a high school sophomore in East LA. The message read, "Ma'am, my name is Miguel. I read about your fund. I want to learn to code. I want to build worlds. But my family, we don't have a computer. Can you help me?" I looked at the message. I thought about the 47 no's. I thought about the beige Toyota. I thought about the cold apartment. I looked out at the city. This world I had in my own way conquered. And I typed my reply. A single word. Yes. The knot was closed. Not with revenge, but with a new beginning. A new path built for all the other kids. The ones sitting at their own table 11 seconds waiting for someone to see the world they were building. A path for a family. Finally, learning to love the person, not the real job. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this story touched you, please subscribe to Retribution Reels and share this video to help me grow the channel. Please comment below and let me know where you are listening from, and share your own thoughts on Chloe's journey.